Woo-hoo! Fire department is coming, guys. Time to get the kitty down.
All right. Yay!
Here at Stitch, we celebrate the ways everyday people are making this country a kinder place to live, one incredible story at a time. Humans aren't the only ones who need saving sometimes. Here are stories of animals in danger and the brave people who came to their rescue. First, this kitten was saved from a 35-foot drop thanks to some local firefighters.
It was clinging onto the bridge, and then when I got close to it, I had blankets, and then I had a little bottle of water and then a food so I can try and lower her down.
When she heard about a kitten stranded on top of an overpass, Carla Munguia rushed over to try and save him. But Animal Control in Lathrop, California told the Good Samaritan to stand down because reinforcements were on the way.
Fire department is coming, guys. Time to get the kitty down.
Firefighters soon arrived with a ladder, and one of the firemen tried and failed to sweep the kitten into a net. So he switched to a simpler method, picking the cat up with his hand.
Thank God. And it was kind of intense because when they were trying to get the cat kept was scratching the fire guy's hand.
But it worked, saving the kitten from either an 8-foot fall onto the overpass or a 35-foot plunge onto the railroad tracks below.
Big breeze of freshness and relief. It was satisfying.
For the firefighters, it was all in a day's work.
Serving the community at all levels. So a concerned citizen is, our concern. So saving cats, going into buildings or whatever you have,
The 2-month-old kitten was named Kyle after the fireman who saved his life. And Carla was overjoyed that the story had a happy ending.
At the end of the day, you feel good about what happened and to see somebody's life being saved, Even a cat, a dog, snake, whatever it is, it always feels good.
From one high-flying animal to another, our next story follows the rush to help a distressed dog trapped 120 feet above the Mississippi River.
Woo-hoo!
This is the moment the stranded hound was lifted back to safety in Natchez, Mississippi. The tense situation began when a bridge inspector spotted the dog on the bridge deck. A rescue technician quickly climbed to where the dog was trapped and assessed the dog for injuries. Then, with the help from a local police officer, he was able to get the animal into a makeshift harness and carry him to safety.
Nice work, Ryan.
In our next rescue, a deer set out on a frozen section of the Arkansas River and ended up completely stuck. When Game Warden Spencer Grace got a call about an anxious deer caught in an icy bind, he sprang into action. At the scene, Spencer enlisted the help of a bystander while he walked slowly out onto the frozen Arkansas River in Clay County, Oklahoma. It wasn't easy, but he managed to get a rope around the deer and pull her back to the riverbank. At first, the stunned deer wasn't in any hurry to run off into the 3-degree weather, but the warden said she eventually got her bearings and ran back home towards the trees. Next, meet a rescue dog that miraculously survived for days outside in freezing conditions.
He was in really rough shape. His fur wasn't really growing in. He also had mange and worms, the whole gambit.
Jack the rescue dog had been through a lot. He's thought to have been a bait dog for dog fights before he was adopted from a kill shelter. But the lab pit mix began to thrive after being taken in during the pandemic by Kate Waldyson, who lives in Baltimore.
Get that tail. He's just a great dog all around, very social. And very trainable. He listens very well. He's kind of like, the best dog I could get.
One day while on a walk, Jack and Kate were struck by a van and got separated. Kate was grazed and Jack was injured. But when she tried to catch him, he took off.
Kind of wandering while whining, like really bad whines, like I'm hurt. And I yell for his name and he stops and then runs. I'm screaming his name now and he's running even faster.
With no clue where Jack went, Kate shared a social media post asking for people to keep an eye out for him. The post was shared more than 8,000 times.
Like I just had so much faith in humanity all of a sudden that people are so willing to just lend a hand and feel for you and do what they can.
And it worked. There were multiple Jack sightings in the area. Soon, a local rescue group got involved, telling Kate that search parties could do more harm than good.
And as a lost dog, if some strangers are coming after me and yelling, I'm going to run. If you let them settle in the one area, they'll most likely stay there, and you can either kind of try to lure them in or coach them in, or put a safe, humane trap out.
Then, 5 long days after Jack took off, Kate got a phone call that he'd made his way to a local police station.
Does he have a white chest? Yes. Does he have a white left paw? Yes. All black fur otherwise? Yes. Kinky tail? Yes. Oh my God!
They think he made a bed of leaves in the woods as a way to stay warm in the snow. Aside from some road rash caused by the accident and an infection in his paw, Jack was in surprisingly good shape and, in the end, came to his own rescue.
He was hungry, he was hurt, and he just wanted to come home.
Rescuing a cat from a tree may sound kind of quaint, but in our next story, it shows the reality is a lot more intense. Sandy Ann the cat managed to climb up this tree after sneaking out the house, only to get stuck there. Owner Ashley George and her sister tried to climb a ladder and grab her, but the cat just climbed even higher. Out of ideas, Ashley called more than a dozen organizations, desperate for someone to help. She finally found a tree service company that agreed to send someone. Soon, a man named Dennis arrived with a cherry picker, ready to save Sandy Ann. He gingerly made his way up to the frightened feline, but the tree branches prevented him from getting too close. Dennis made several attempts to coax the cat out of the tree, and, at one point, a branch snapped and gave onlookers quite a scare. Sandy Ann even reached out her paws, trying to find a way to get closer to him, but nothing seemed to work.
So close.
Until Dennis finally got close enough to scoop Sandy Ann into his arms.
All right. Yay.
And in seconds, he had her back down on solid ground. Then, after the impressive rescue, Dennis refused payment, telling Ashley to simply pay it forward. In our final story, a fire crew came to the aid of a pooch stuck in a pretty precarious situation. This dog looks a little funny with its head stuck in a wall, but the situation was actually nothing to laugh about. The dog's snout got caught in a dryer vent, so the Kissimmee Fire Department got to work. The firefighters began chiseling away at the block from the inside to get the animal out. When they successfully freed the pooch from the wall, the resilient little dog promptly shook it off and tried again. Luckily, the fire crew was able to keep the curious canine from getting stuck again. We hope you enjoyed these stories of courageous animal rescues, and thanks for watching Stitch.